Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes the problem with de-risking. Can technology's Zoomers outrun the Doomers? Remembering John MacDoug, an American scholar of Indonesia. Live Sugar Bowl updates, Texas to face Washington in college football playoff. Michael Penix Jr. leads number 2 Washington to 37-31 victory over Texas and Spot in national title game. The problem with de-risking. Foreign affairs. Western leaders have recognized the need to de-risk global supply chains linked to China, including in the clean energy sector. However, the difficulty of successfully de-risking with respect to China has not been adequately understood or communicated. Western governments have primarily relied on subsidies and financial support to stimulate domestic manufacturing, but this strategy is not sustainable and could lead to a subsidy war and wasteful spending. Instead, Western governments should clarify which sectors they must absolutely support to reduce reliance on China for national security reasons and carefully consider how to compete with China on costs. They should focus on priority areas and push customers to support Western supply chains. China's dominance in clean energy technologies is a key concern for the West. China leads in production, deployment, and innovation in the clean energy sector. The West must focus on priority areas where it relies excessively on China and sectors in which it can realistically compete. Simply subsidizing the cost difference or banning Chinese imports will not be effective. Instead, low-cost, scalable, and sustainable innovations in mining, processing, and manufacturing must be supported by customers and the market. The West must also address the tension between what is good for the planet and what is good for business, as lower prices for clean energy technologies reduce margins for producers. The West has squandered its early lead in clean energy technologies and helped China get started in the sector. China's dominance in critical minerals and clean energy manufacturing makes meaningful decoupling difficult. China's excess capacity and investment in clean energy supply chains put pressure on prices and make it hard for Western companies to compete. Western companies must decide whether to buy cheaper materials from China or bet on new Western plants with unproven results. Western companies have some advantages, such as access to hydropower and more environmentally sustainable manufacturing processes. Governments can use industrial policy to enable their markets to pay slightly more for a more sustainable supply chain and lower the cost of capital for clean energy companies. However, Western governments must also consider voter backlash and the costs of incentivizing a shift toward clean energy. Can technology's Zoomers outrun the Doomers? Financial Times. Advances in artificial intelligence, AI, are opening up new possibilities for scientific discovery, leading to a stronger case for optimism about the future. AI is enabling machines to find new pathways for research, offering millions of automated researchers to the scientific workforce. It is speeding up scientific discovery, with the example of Google DeepMind's AlphaFold system predicting the structures of 200 million proteins, saving almost 1 billion years of research time. AI is also improving the efficiency of experimental nuclear fusion reactors, discovering new drugs, and enabling us to use existing technology more effectively. Remembering John MacDoug, an American scholar of Indonesia. Diplomat. John MacDoug, a cultural anthropologist from Princeton University in the United States, who dedicated his life to Indonesia and all things Balinese, died on December 30 after a long illness, a sad finale for 2023. Live Sugar Bowl updates, Texas to face Washington in college football playoff. Washington Post. About the Sugar Bowl matchup between Washington and Texas. The game is the second college football playoff semifinal, following the Rose Bowl. Washington is ranked number 2 and has a 20-game winning streak under coach Kalen DeBoer. Texas coach Steve Sarkisian previously coached Washington from 2009 to 2013. The game is scheduled to kick off at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Michael Penix Jr. leads number 2 Washington to 37-31 victory over Texas and Spot in national title game. The Toronto Star. Washington defeated Texas 37-31 in the Sugar Bowl to advance to the college football playoff championship game. Quarterback Michael Penix Jr. threw for 430 yards and 2 touchdowns, leading the Huskies to victory. The win gives both Penix and the Pac-12 Conference one more game this season. Washington will face number 1 Michigan in the championship game, looking for their first national championship since 1991. This will be the final season of the 4-team playoff before expansion to 12 teams in 2024. Texas had 4 opportunities to score a touchdown in the final seconds of the game but failed to do so. Could skinny jabs help solve Britain's long-term sickness problem? Telegraph. Workers in the UK are taking more time off due to illness than at any point in decades, with employees missing nearly 3 in every 100 working hours in 2022, the highest share since 2004. The UK has the third highest rate of people who are overweight or obese in Europe, with 2 in 3 people in England struggling with excess weight in 2021, according to the NHS. Obesity has been linked to a range of health conditions, including diabetes and kidney problems, leading to long-term sickness. Weight loss drugs such as Wegovy and diabetes drugs such as Ozempic could help to tackle the sickness crisis by reducing obesity rates. The demand for these drugs is already high, and they are expected to sell more than $100 billion next year. The UK government has reportedly discussed profiling benefit claimants with the Danish pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk. The Office for Budget Responsibility has warned that health-related inactivity poses a threat to the economy and risks pushing up borrowing by as much as £21.2 billion extra by 2027 to 28. 8 ways to improve your gut health and shrink your tummy. The Independent. The article discusses the growing interest in probiotic foods and supplements and their impact on gut health and overall well-being. Celebrities such as Gwyneth Paltrow, LeBron James, and Serena Williams have praised the benefits of probiotics on digestion, energy, and mood. The market for probiotic products is projected to reach $131 billion by 2032. Research has shown that the gut microbiome can affect immune systems, skin, digestion, and mental health. A study from King's College London found that gut bacteria can even influence the size of visceral fat, which is linked to diseases like diabetes and heart disease. The ideal time to eat breakfast to reduce heart disease. Telegraph. Eating breakfast and supper an hour earlier can reduce the risk of heart attack or stroke, according to a study. Researchers found that people who eat breakfast at 9 a.m. are 6% more likely to develop cardiovascular disease than those who eat at 8 a.m. Meanwhile, eating after 9 p.m. was linked to a 28% risk of cerebrovascular disease compared with eating before 8 p.m., particularly for women. However, the study also found that a longer duration of nighttime fasting was associated with a reduced risk of stroke. Cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death globally, with 18.6 million annual deaths in 2019. Michigan didn't flinch in emotional defeat of Alabama and is now one win from national title. Yahoo! Pasadena, California. What does it feel like to pass the test an entire nation expected you to fail? Maybe it's J.J. McCarthy breaking away from a post-game interview to sprint across the field for a rose that he stuck between his teeth, closed his eyes and threw his head back toward the black California sky. Maybe it's Blake Corum transcending the emotional exhaustion of the most tense football game he's ever played, spinning and churning until he had pulled every Alabama defender with a shot at tackling him into the end zone. Maybe it's the families of Michigan coaches shaking with adrenaline and embracing each other on the field of a 101-year-old stadium that had been the scene of more than few Wolverine heartbreaks, but will now always be remembered for what happened here Monday night. Michigan 27, Alabama 20. In a game Michigan had every right to lose, on a night when it was one play from another crushing college football playoff memory, against an opponent steeped in swagger and overflowing with talent, the Wolverines did exactly what Jim Harbaugh said they'd do. Say it again, say it loud and say it forever. This was, indeed, the team. Glorious, Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh said. That was glorious. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh, center, celebrates with quarterback J.J. McCarthy, 9, and running back Blake Corum after defeating Alabama in their college football playoff semifinal game at the 2024 Rose Bowl. Jalen Milroe nearly rallies Alabama back, but falls 2 yards short in OT against Michigan. Associated Press. In the 110th Rose Bowl, the Michigan Wolverines defeated the Alabama Crimson Tide 27-20 in overtime. Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe played a key role in rallying his team, finishing with 63 rushing yards on 21 carries despite being sacked 6 times. Milroe directed 2 scoring drives in the fourth quarter to give Alabama a 20-13 lead, but was ultimately stopped on a draw play on 4th and goal in overtime. Michigan's Josiah Stewart made the tackle, securing the victory for the Wolverines. China's cadres urged to connect with the masses, but some question methods. South China Morning Post. Chinese Communist Party leaders are attempting to connect with the masses by drinking tap water in local communities to show it is safe to drink. The campaign was launched after President Xi Jinping urged party officials to work at a grassroots level, and has been widely taught among the party's rank and file. However, critics have questioned the effectiveness of the campaign, calling it a publicity stunt and noting that testing water quality is not part of the duties of a party secretary. Will hotter heat pumps win over homeowners? BBC. A new breed of heat pump that can supply much higher temperatures than previous models is emerging. Engineers have gradually improved the technology to supply heat pumps that can provide flow temperatures of 70 C and even above. The rise of new refrigerants like R290 or propane has helped achieve this, as it is more environmentally friendly than older ones, with up to 34% greater efficiency, allowing heat pumps to supply higher temperatures. Furthermore, these new refrigerants are less potentially damaging in terms of climate change. As a result, temperature anxiety, a concern of some homeowners regarding heat pump efficiency, is becoming irrelevant. However, it may take time to convince some homeowners. Paul Sanilio, head of Whole Home Retrofit at National Energy Foundation, has found convincing homeowners to sign up to heat pumps difficult due to the negative press. The advent of these new refrigerants may change this. The UK was ranked 20th out of 21 European nations for heat pumps, suggesting that more needs to be done to encourage their adoption. Zelensky says Moscow suffering heavy losses as Putin vows more attacks. The Independent. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that Russia is suffering heavy losses in the ongoing conflict between the two countries. Zelensky referred to the fighting in the town of Avdiivka, where he claims he saw Russian troops being killed. He also mentioned that the bodies of Russian soldiers were left on the battlefield and not cleared up. Zelensky dismissed the notion that Russia is winning the war, calling it a feeling that is not backed up by reality. He warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin would come after the rest of the world next, describing him as an animal that senses weakness and will eat you for dinner with all your freedom and democracy. Zelensky's comments come as there were heavy exchanges of fire between Ukraine and Russia over the New Year period. Russia has vowed to intensify its strikes following Ukrainian bombardments on Russian border regions. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia has been ongoing for almost 2 years, with no resolution in sight. The war has resulted in thousands of deaths and widespread destruction. Zelensky's comments highlight the continued heavy losses suffered by Russian forces and the ongoing suffering caused by the conflict. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia has geopolitical implications, as it has strained relations between Russia and the West. The West has supported Ukraine in its struggle against Russian aggression, providing military aid and economic support. However, there have been concerns about the escalation of the conflict and the potential for a wider war. Zelensky's warning that Putin will come after the rest of the world is a reminder of the potential dangers of the ongoing conflict and the need for a peaceful resolution. Researchers say diabetes treatment breakthrough could lead to end of insulin injections. ABC. Scientists from the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute in Melbourne have manipulated pancreatic stem cells to produce insulin, according to research published in the Signal Transduction and Targeted Therapy journal. The researchers based their work on previous studies by Monash University's scientists, which used 2 cancer drugs. The next step is preclinical animal trials. The technique may offer a treatment that doesn't require insulin injections for children and adults with type 1 diabetes. U.S. watching Taiwan elections closely as China reiterates claim to island. Al Jazeera. The upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections in Taiwan on January 13 will have significant implications for Taiwan's relationship with China and the United States. The incumbent vice president, William Lai Ching-te, is expected to win, which would likely rankle Beijing as it sees Lai as a separatist bent on independence. The U.S., which is Taiwan's most significant international supporter, would need to consider strategies to deter any Chinese military responses. On the other hand, if the opposition candidate, Ho Uih, were to win, it could potentially benefit U.S.-China ties by lowering tensions in cross-strait relations. However, the U.S. government will also be watching the parliamentary elections, as the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, could lose its majority in the legislature. The U.S. has maintained a purposefully vague policy on Taiwan's status, but questions have arisen over its commitment to Taiwan in recent years. A survey conducted in Taiwan showed that trust in the U.S. had declined, and nearly a third of respondents did not think the U.S. would use force to help Taiwan in the event of a conflict with China. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 doctors, observers from the 6 Degrees world, are back with another round of news updates. I am your host, Dr. 6. Let's dive right in. In the realm of global supply chains, Western leaders are grappling with the challenge of de-risking their reliance on China. However, simply relying on subsidies and financial support is not a sustainable solution. Instead, Western governments must prioritize certain sectors and find ways to compete with China on costs. China's dominance in clean energy technologies is a key concern, but the West must focus on areas where it can realistically compete and support low-cost, sustainable innovations. On the brighter side, advances in artificial intelligence, AI, are bringing optimism to scientific discovery. AI is revolutionizing research, speeding up processes, and enabling us to make new breakthroughs. With AI, we can predict protein structures, improve nuclear fusion reactors, discover new drugs, and enhance the effectiveness of existing technology. This is a game changer for scientific progress. We also remember the late John MacDougall, an American scholar who dedicated his life to studying Indonesia. His passion for Indonesian culture and his contributions to the field of cultural anthropology will be greatly missed. In the sports world, Washington's victory over Texas in the Sugar Bowl has secured their spot in the college football playoff championship game. Quarterback Michael Penix Jr. led his team to victory with an impressive performance. We look forward to an exciting matchup between Washington and number 1 ranked Michigan. In the UK, the rising rate of long-term sickness due to obesity has led to discussions about using weight loss drugs to tackle the crisis. Drugs such as Wegovy and Ozempic could help reduce obesity rates and alleviate the burden on the economy. It's an interesting approach to a pressing issue. Moving on to health and well-being, the growing interest in probiotics and their impact on gut health is undeniable. Celebrities and experts alike have praised the benefits of probiotics on digestion, energy, and mood. The market for probiotic products is projected to continue its rapid growth. Research has also shown that gut bacteria can influence various aspects of our health, including immune systems, digestion, and mental well-being. It's clear that taking care of our gut health is crucial for overall wellness. In other health-related news, a study suggests that adjusting meal times can reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke. Eating breakfast and supper an hour earlier has shown to have a positive impact on cardiovascular health. However, the study also highlighted the importance of nighttime fasting for reducing stroke risk. It's a reminder that our eating habits can have a significant impact on our health. Now, let's not forget the world of college football. Michigan's victory over Alabama in the Rose Bowl was an emotional triumph. Against all odds, Michigan proved themselves and secured a spot in the national championship game. The excitement is palpable, and we can't wait to see how it unfolds. In international news, the conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues to escalate. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that Russia is suffering heavy losses in the ongoing fighting. He warned that Putin's aggression does not stop at Ukraine's borders and urged the international community to remain vigilant. The situation remains tense, and a peaceful resolution is desperately needed. In the field of medical research, scientists in Australia have made a breakthrough in diabetes treatment. They have manipulated pancreatic stem cells to produce insulin, potentially offering a future treatment that does not require insulin injections for those with type 1 diabetes. This discovery brings hope to millions of people around the world. Lastly, we turn our attention to Taiwan's upcoming elections. The results will have significant implications for Taiwan's relationship with China and the United States. The U.S. will closely watch the elections, as they weigh the potential impact on U.S.-China relations and their commitment to Taiwan's security. These elections are crucial for the region's stability and the balance of power. That's all for today's news updates. Now, it's time for your thoughts and questions. What do you make of these developments? Do you have any burning questions or unique insights to share? The floor is yours, my fellow thinkers. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.